Hello everyone, Martin here, back with another Legacy video playing Doomsday, and I've got a good one today, I think. I'm super excited anyways. So I'll be playing a take on the Esper Doomsday control-ish list I've been playing for a while, but with a twist, which is, dun dun dun, Displacer Kitten. So, what's the point here? Well, first of all, I need to mention that this was a card I was led on to by Marcus Ewald from the Doomsday Discord and many acclaimed Doomsday results. And Marcus is historically like a control player and a very good Miracles player back when there was a Miracles deck. And when Marcus has played Doomsday, typically he has enjoyed playing like an Esper version with a bit more of a controlling field, and that's kind of what got me onto this path, anyways. And when Marcus mentioned the kitten, it kind of fell into place for me, and that's just like basically. Actually, let me just turn off the Magic Online sound here. Where sound effects? Maybe just go the mastered all the way down. Sorry about that. So the thing about the kitten that is so cool is we're basically playing every other part of this combo. So if you haven't seen it before, Displacer Kitten combos with Teferi and then typically a Bauble or, I suppose, Lotus Petal. And the way that works is you have Kitten in play and you have Teferi in play. And then you cast a Mishra's Bauble that triggers Kitten and you target Teferi. And then Teferi blinks and instantly enters the battlefield with 4 loyalty counters on him. Then you bounce the Mishra's Bauble with Teferi, drawing a card. You replay the Bauble, that triggers the Kitten, Teferi gets reset, and hey, you draw your entire deck. And the win condition typically then is Thassa's Oracle, which we're already playing. So it felt kind of cheap to just fit in 2 extra slots here for the Kitten. And that kind of gives us a plan B. So what I really like about it is it kind of sidesteps at least some of the ways that people can combat Doomsday. It kind of sidesteps Endurance. It doesn't sidestep Red Blast, but we're already sort of open to Red Blast. And anyways, I'm going to try this out. You'll be here for the virgin flight of me playing this deck. So I might end up being disappointed, but I'm pretty optimistic about where this is going to go. But we'll see. And then I decided that I also wanted a plan C, and that I've been playing with 2 copies of Sheoldred for a while in the main deck, and I'm generally somewhat pleased. I'm not sure I will end up sticking with it, but I'm not sure if Sheoldred belongs in the main deck or the sideboard, but so far so good. I've had some pretty good results, sort of positively and increasingly good results, so I'm pretty happy. So not that much else to say about this list. It's pretty similar to what I've been playing lately and what was in my last video. I had to make some cuts here in order to fit everything here. First of all, I added another land because I feel like with the addition of like 2 Displacer Kitten and 1 extra Teferi, I think 17 lands was maybe cutting it a bit too closely, so 1 more of those. And I also decided to up the discard count. I was down to 2, now I'm up to 3, but I had to cut Spell Pierce, so a little bit worried about where that might leave us. I also shaved a Bauble and a Predict. So, and I think also one thing to mention about the cool thing about Displacer Kitten is also you don't have to go full combo. If you ever just resolve a Kitten with a Baleful Strix in play, then any spell, any non-creature spell you cast basically blinks the Strix and you can start drawing a lot of cards. So if you get to untap with those and you have like Ponder, you cast Ponder, trigger Strix, draw a card, then resolve your Ponder, you find like if you find a brainstorm, it's just amazing. If you find any like spell, you at least get to draw one more card and all that. All right, so yeah, in terms of the sideboard, I've kind of given up the ghost in terms of not playing around like graveyard strategies. I only basically have the two Force of Negation to bring in against like Reanimator. I think probably I would bring in a couple of plows actually because I find like a lot of the time Reanimator, especially post board, don't mind like toggling it over and becoming like this grief for the win kind of deck. Like turn one, evoke grief and then reanimate it, and then that's all the resources spent, but they've taken two cards from you. And in that situation, plow is good. I think also like prismatic ending has been very decent to bring in against like the storm based combo decks. So like I've been facing quite a bit of that red storm deck, the or the, is it I suppose it is the epic gamble, and and versus TS as well. Like I think bringing in like two endings is pretty reasonable because they do like to play out like the epic gamble has defense grid, but aside from that, they all play like I think Chrome Mox and like Mox Opal and stuff like that, and it's very likely that you can like trip them up a bit on their mana, and like they like to play out their LEDs as well because we're a discard deck. So, but yeah, anyway, enough of that. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna jump into a league. All right, round number one, and this is against Aaron Relentless. And Aaron is not named Aaron in real life, but that doesn't matter. This is a very very acclaimed player. I think they won one of the Eternal Weekends last year, and is usually like playing I think either elves or reanimator. So I think in either case I'll keep this. If it's elves, we might be in for a rough time, but we'll see. Okay, not elves. Oh, and I guess I guess it could be reanimator dress. Okay. So this is either I guess like the mirror or a storm deck would be my guess. And we've lost our we draw land. So we're kind of like the guard is down right now. They can go nuts if they want to here. Well, Ponder is at least not a dark ritual, which is what I'm concerned about seeing here. They shuffle Ponder. Okay, good for us. Street Wraith. Okay, that means it's Doomsday. Interesting. I didn't know that Aaron Relentless played Doomsday. So I think the play here is to Ponder. As much as I would also like to play our Strix. Well, Teferi is good, but I don't think any of the other cards are what we want. So I'm gonna take Teferi and risk them having a discard spell in order to be able to fetch. Okay, Brainstorm. Okay, so they're obviously like they missed their land drop last turn. We'll see. If we get lucky and they actually miss again here or on the brainstorm. And next turn, like if we do get a next turn, the question will then be: do we like tap out for Teferi and run the risk of like days? I mean, they are playing Street Wraith, so they're not playing the version we're playing. So it would stand to reason that they have some number of dazes in their deck, but I think probably if I get another turn here, I'm going to play Strix just to not play into that. Also, like that gives us the opportunity to find like a zero drop and then play Kitten and trigger the Strix, but that would play into days. Okay, so they found their land. Let's get a scrub land, I think. Oh, that sucks. I mean, I don't mind them dazing the Strix here if they do have a daze. Brainstorm is not a terrible pickup here. I wonder, like, if I'm supposed to end of turn brainstorm here. I have 3 lands, which is kind of bad. So I would kind of like to wait, but that kind of means then playing into days. Cabal Ritual, okay. I'm guessing a Doomsday is going to come out of this. And they have, yikes. I think I will brainstorm here, as much as I don't particularly like playing into days. Oops, what happened? Oh, stupid Magic Online. So, by the time you're seeing this, some time may have passed, but I'm playing this a couple of days after the last patch went live, and all my hotkeys are like got jumbled up, and I just passed priority instead of like I tap my mana and then basically yielded until end of turn, so now I can't even brainstorm. So that's unfortunate. So we'll see. They have like an untapped blue mana and 2 extra black and 4 cards in hand. I do kind of expect to be dead now. But they have made their land drop, which means they can't make a pile that wins with Cavern this turn. Okay, let's see here. If the Cavern is in the exile zone, that means they're going for it now. It's not. How many forces? 1, 2. So 2 Force of Wills. That means that the other 2 is like in one of their 4 cards or in the 5 in their pile. What else? What else? What else? 1 Edge of Autumn, 1 Street Wraith, 2 Street Wraith. The LED. Yeah, so they're going for a slower pile. They're going for the win next turn, I believe. It's the Watery Grave build. Okay. Oh, hang on. Now my land is untapped? What the heck? I don't get this. Okay, well, that's good at least. It means that we do get to brainstorm now if we want to. And were there any dazes here? So if this is the Max Extortion build, let's see, 1 personal, 2 personal, 3 personal, 4. This is a 4 personal tutor build, and there are 0 dazes here, which means, I believe, there is a daze either in their hand or in the pile. Interesting. How much discard? 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Duress, 2 Duress. I think that may be all the discard they're playing. Okay. Are we doing anything else? No, we're not. Okay, I'm going to pass here. And I'm going to hope to find a predict and some, like, counter spells. Well, Force of Will is good. That is not predict. Okay. We could also hope to, like, spike what's his face? Spike something with Displacer Kitten next turn. So let's see here. I think if they have the daze, it's a pretty easy daze unless they made their pile where it's dependent on all the mana. Oh yeah, one more thing to check. Do they have deep analysis here? No deep analysis. So there is 1 consider. I'm not sure if they play 1 or whatever. Okay, so they force. Can I see what they pitched? Exile Force of Will. Okay, so now there is no Force of Will left in the deck. But there is a Daze, which obviously they don't have, or they would have used it. How many cyclers? They had 2 cyclers here. I think Max plays 4 cyclers. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 cyclers here. Okay. So I think maybe the correct call here is to let this one go. I'll swing in. So maybe they draw the Daze here. That would be kind of unfortunate for us. Is this going to be considered? Oh, okay. So, okay, so they were playing 5 cyclers. Yeah, okay, so they have us. Yep. All right. So, sideboard-wise, I think we want the Force of Negations, maybe the second Cavern, and maybe like 1 or 2 plows, because I do believe they're going to be bringing in Sheoldred. So we don't want the Strixes. And they saw the Displacer Kittens. Question if we want those. I think maybe I'd rather cut 1 kitten and add 1 mentor. Oops, that's not a mentor. Like this. Because I think like with the 2 caverns, mentor is pretty enticing. And going up to 19 lands is probably wrong, so I think we can cut probably the basic planes. And then let's bring in the second mentor. All right, let's choose to be on the play. Gross. I'm not keeping this. Yeah, let's keep this. Let's bottom the basic island and go for a turn 1 duress here. And they mulligan to 6 as well, it would appear. What do we take here? So I think I actually take the brainstorm. And I am feeling somewhat confident in the next turn Doomsday. I assume they're going to ponder here. Yeah. So they got their draw step and whatever ponder shows them to find a force and a blue card, or their one-off days. They might have more days come in, but I'm not sure. So obviously I'd like to see a shuffle here, but yeah, we'll see. So let's see here. They do not shuffle. Okay, they found a pedal. Gross. Okay. So we know their hand. So they're going to take Doomsday here, and the game continues. Huh. Let's ponder. That's kind of no good. Bummer. Okay. Let's see if they find more petals here. Okay, so They play out a land we didn't know about, so they can Doomsday next turn. Okay, what's going on? Ooh, Brainstorm is a good pickup here. Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, we did board in these plowshares, didn't we? Okay, let's go like this and like that. So at least they're gonna be able to go for Doomsday now, which I'm sure they will. And if they kept in their LED and deep analysis, then they will get to win on the spot here. I'm kind of hoping, but I think it's probably very unlikely that they would go for some kind of pile that doesn't go for the full empty the library, because obviously the plow. But I'm assuming they're going to pass the turn, and they're just going to cycle until, and then like they're going to untap and then just cycle into, because they already have one cycler, they're going to cycle into Cavern and Oracle. And that's going to be fairly easy for them. I doubt we'll get a chance to use the Force of Will that we'll be drawing. All right. When I'm playing like turbo lists, I will sometimes board out, or I will often board out like cyclers until I'm down to 3 cyclers. But even if they have done that, unfortunately, they have one of them in their hand already, which means they can just make their pile like a second cycler, a third cycler, Cavern Oracle. I suppose that way you don't empty the library. So you would draw like, let's say they make their pile like, oh yeah. Anyways, no. Yeah, no. If you only have 3 cyclers, you would have to do that. Like you'd say like Street Wraith, Cavern Oracle. But then you can also just make like a Ponder as your, or another blue card that's not Brainstorm that draws a card as like the 5th card to get to an empty library, which would then like cost you a turn because I would Force of Will the Ponder. But at that point, I'm drawing a Source of Plowshares, so we are okay. No Sheoldred, but 2 opposition agents. Okay, interesting. Chain of Vapor, right? 1 daze. 1, 2, 3, 4 Force of Will. 1 Street Wraith. Yeah. All right. I mean, we have the Scrubland and we have the pass. Yep. That was 1 Edge, 1 Street Wraith. Right. Man, if I had 1 more... yeah. So I'm thinking their last card is probably Thassa's, or another Thassa's Oracle. And if it is, then this doesn't matter, right? So if the second card in hand is a Thassa's Oracle and I plow, then they just yeah, I don't know. I think I'm supposed to force. If they have another like a daze here, then that's pretty bad. If they have second Oracle, it doesn't matter which order I do this. Oh, Flusterstorm. Oh, geez, Louise. Yeah, I should have plowed then. I should have plowed, and then you'd think they have a second Oracle in the pile. Anyways, GG's. All right, round number 2 on the draw. Can't keep this. Smushing of cards. Yeah, let's keep this. Suppose I will bottom the island. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not just jamming into the untapped blue mana source here. So let's pass. See what we're up against. Swamp. Right. Well, let's hope to not get Dark Ritual Opposition Agented here. Let's cast Brainstorm. That's not bad. So I'm kind of weary about keeping my Thassa's Oracle in my hand post Doomsday when there is when I have to pass and there is clearly discard or potential for discard here. I think I'm going to put that back. And I also okay, so here's the thing. If I play Scrubland and Dark Ritual Doomsday and it resolves, then that's great. If it gets countered, then I'm kind of sad that I didn't play Prismatic Vista to shuffle away the top 2 cards. But I don't want to fetch basic Swamp here with the Vista, so I think I am gonna run the risk and hope that Force of Will be good enough to punch through this Doomsday. So I'd really like to not get Flusterstormed here. Force of Will, pitching Omniscience. Okay, let's Force of Will back. Okay, that result. That's great. So I think I'm going to that's tough. I was gonna say I'm gonna put in like Teferi, but I actually don't think that's a good call. They could just untap and kill us here. Like they have 2 mana if they pitched an Omniscience, so I mean hopefully they don't do that, but so if we predict away something like, I don't know, say Baleful Strix, and then we draw a Thassa and Lotus Petal, then, you know, we can, maybe I'm supposed to not have it be Strix, maybe I'm supposed to have it be like another land. So we can like draw predict away Tundra. If predict gets countered, we can play Ending and fetch it away. Yeah, I don't hate that. So they clearly didn't have any more counter spells. So let's see here. Unearth, Petal, Thassa, Tundra, predict. So I'm really concerned about getting show and told here, and that they have like either just a straight up kill or like a Gristlebrand to draw a billion cards, but we'll see. All right, so two combo opponents in the first 2 rounds of this league, so it's a bit rough. Yeah, our opponent is commenting on the presence of all the different combos. We're like the daycare center of combo decks. Okay. So let's see if we get to win here. All right, let's play the pedal because we don't want them to counter that. So we can survive like a one like removal spell because we have the unearth coming. All right, cool. So we won. So force of negation for sure. Maybe like a mentor and another cavern. And like maybe I'm feeling I'm getting shouldered vibes every time I see like a black producing land, especially in combo decks. But I really like the plows were obviously pretty embarrassing in the last round. So uh, though I mean plow would actually have at least postponed death. So I don't know, but that's another story, right? So let's board out the Strix and the Unearth. We keep in both kittens, and yeah, let's give this a try. Ugh. Ugh. See this? I am gonna keep because between the like we can make land drops and we have force, and between the draw step and the bauble, we should hopefully be able to produce a blue producing land. All right. And they do not shuffle. Okay. Well, that wasn't it. Um, I'm not gonna bauble myself because I'll be getting the card anyways. Okay, Flusterstorm. Let's play out the swamp. Come on. Yes. Okay. That was important. Gonna suspend a profane tutor? No. Okay. Yeah, ponder's not the worst. Hopefully we can find like either a card that doesn't care about Flusterstorm, like one of the creatures, or I don't think I hate this. I don't think we don't want both of these lands that are coming, but I don't mind one of them. And getting like the second pitch counter is pretty nice. Ponder. So blue combo mages in Legacy are so peaceful until they just explode in your face, right? Just like, oh, I'm just gonna think things over for a bit, ponder some stuff. And they do not shuffle. Okay. So discard spell. Right. Okay. I like my hand is somewhat robust versus discard. It's gonna suck that they're gonna see the card that we draw because I'm gonna play out the land. Hopefully they don't take ponder and then like surgical extract us, but um, I wouldn't expect that. Maybe they might like take the kitten and then like try and not the kitten, the Thassa, and if they have surgical. But I think we're somewhat reasonably insulated against that happening because we have other combo pieces. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Oh, that's not the worst. I think honestly, versus a combo deck like this, it would be totally reasonable to actually build a Doomsday pile that just puts Shouldered into play through a cavern and then like wins. Um, Obviously not ideal, but possible. So currently we do have to find like we do have to find like another I don't know, like a way to beat this Flusterstorm. They're kind of stuck on lands, which is our good fortune right now. But once they get to like 4 mana, so they can put Show and Tell on the stack with Flusterstorm backup, we basically need to cast both of our Forces of Negation here. And they didn't get Brainstorm locked. So we draw the Doomsday. I think we just ponder because I believe there's another Flooded Strand. Okay, so let's just grab the Underground Sea here, play that out. We have hard cast Force of Negation, and then Force of Negation pitch cast Thassa's Oracle. What we can't do though is actually resolve or Doomsday as long as they have that Flusterstorm. So I'd be curious to see what happens here if they do go for it. Okay. Let's see here. Show and Tell, right? If I pitch counter Force of Negation, that makes it Storm 2. Then they Flusterstorm. That's Storm 3, and I tap out. But then if they have the pitch counter, that way we lose. I suppose we do that anyways, right? Let's say I instead tap out to Force of Negation. They Flusterstorm it. I pitch counter with Force of Negation, and then they have a pitch counter. So we're not beating like a pitch counter in any case. I think I'm actually going to try this and pitch the Thassa and just give up on that route to victory. Let's see here. So either they didn't think about the fact that I could just pay for Fluster and are kind of in trouble here, or they're just considering, yeah, okay. So that was fortunate for us. I'm gonna get this just to have more blue mana. There's a kitten, huh? So I mean, if I go like this and cast Doomsday, they can't Fluster it. What they can do is like untap, play Show and Tell again. They have one more. I think I actually kind of like this. Yeah, just making a mockery of the Flusterstorm. Let's get Shouldered. And like Teferi. And like another Doomsday to go again so we don't deck ourselves if that ever becomes a problem. And how about a Thoughtseize? So, what else? What else? Another Force maybe? So we don't want to be drawing cards because I suppose at the end of the day, it probably won't matter that much. We can draw one with Teferi, but we don't want, like, we're not going to be predicting and speeding through the pile. We want to basically draw Sheoldred and Caster, and then we want to draw probably Teferi, bounce nothing, draw Thoughtseize them. I'm not sure the Force of Will is like the right call here. Maybe like another discard spell. That's fine. And all this is kind of redundant if they have show and tell next turn. So let's see, Doomsday on the bottom, the 2 discard spells, and Teferi, and then Sheoldred. Okay, let's have a look. Ooh, they are passing Cavern of Souls, name Phyrexian. And pass. One more pass. Like an Empire. Just one more pass. No show and tell, please. Thoughtseize. Yep, okay. So the cool thing about this is we don't like lose immediately to Gristlebrand, and we're drawing to Fairy, which can bounce a Gristlebrand. But yeah. I'm gonna play out the Teferi just in case they have something they could flash in, which could mess up with combat here. Oops, has to be blue. Alright. Let's not bounce Sheoldred. And I gain 2 life, but I lose them right away. Okay, so opponent is saying that they made a punt. Maybe they'll let us see. So what's the punt? They could have exhumed. No. What am I missing? Thoughtseize myself, bury monster, exhume monster. Okay, yeah, that's actually true. They Thoughtseize us instead of Thoughtseizing themselves. I mean, that's a good point. Archon of Cruelty gets past Sheoldred. At that point, we still draw Teferi and bounce Archon, but at least like there's no Sheoldred, and we'll have to go Doomsday again. All right, so let's take the exhume. I suppose no. Let's take the. That's a good point. Like, what do we take here? Seeing as we're not done here, right? If we take exhume, that means they can't top deck a Thoughtseize. 2 are already in graveyard. If we take Omniscience, they can't top deck Show and Tell. So I think we have to take Omniscience because I think there are more Show and Tells left than discard spells. Okay. So this is, they have to draw something now, because we have lethal on board, basically, unless they remove Sheoldred. They have perfect information, so I mean, they either got there or they didn't. All right, we got the GGs. All right, 1-1. Now let's go for round number 3. All right, round number 3 on the play. Yeah, this is I mean, we've got some black spells we can't cast, but I think this is a keep. Can like protect ourselves from turn 1 nonsense, and we can hopefully brainstorm at some point and get some mana development. I'm gonna play out the Tundra here, which obviously plays into Wasteland, but I want to be able to brainstorm in case like I would say like do get Wastelanded, or if that someone like thought seizes us and takes force, I want to be able to brainstorm into, and I think that's gonna happen here. I'm not gonna like throw away the brainstorm now, although maybe that would have been like that would have been a reasonable play, because they might take brainstorm here, but if they are reanimator, I think if at least if they have like a play now. Okay. I guess if they have a play right now, brainstorm is the correct take, so never mind. Okay, we got lucky. Let's hope this is good enough to not die. Okay. So they can grief us next turn and get the grief back. And if we leave them with reanimate, then they get to do that and like thought seizes, basically stripping our entire hand here. How big of a problem is this? And like they are so redundant on animation spells that if I take one, let's say I take the reanimate, they use one to exhume grief, they still have an enemy dead for like the next go around. So maybe I'm better off like taking their Thoughtseize, which means I get to keep. No, I think I still get to keep nothing, right? Because they will grief, pitch, reanimate, take Dark Ritual, and then exhume grief, take Force of Will. We can play out the pedal if we want to. I think I'm actually taking like Animate Dead. It's that or Exhume. I'm going to play out the pedal. I'm going to lose my other cards here next turn, but at least it's only, in quotation marks, a grief. You could argue to keep Animate Dead and have them use that, because then grief is only a 2/2. That would be reasonable. So I don't know. Okay, so they're actually... Oh, vomit. They got the Archon of Cruelty. Okay, cool. At least it's not Gristlebrand. We still have outs for this. We can draw like Teferi. That's basically what we have to hope for here. I'm gonna discard. Fuck it. Does it even matter? Probably Force of Will. There's a world where we want to tap out for Teferi next turn, and then like we draw something else afterwards that requires 3 mana. I don't know. Maybe that's just nonsense. Okay, so the Entomb, they even drew Entomb, so they could have Entombed for Gristlebrand. They could have Entombed for Gristlebrand. Isn't that better? Never mind. Actually, no, they probably drew that off of the Archon. I'm being silly. So they... Come on, just take my Dark Ritual. There is nothing else to take. Okay, the trigger hadn't resolved. Never mind. Okay, so Doomsday, Show and Tell, and now Reanimator. So we're like facing the trifecta of shit, of combo mayhem. Okay, so we have Grief coming next turn, because they have Exhume. Come on, Teferi. Yes! Wow. What a draw. So we bounce the Archon. Bounce the Archon, and they will exhume next turn. So we're gonna lose whatever we draw with Teferi, but I mean obviously that's just the way the cookie crumbles here. Oh, too bad. And then basically we have to start playing the game over. I mean, they could also just, I don't know, gotten something else here. Okay, so we cannot complain, seeing as we drew that very timely Teferi. So their hand is Archon and something. Okay, we draw a not very useful force. And now I suppose Teferi dies? You'd have to assume, right? Because Teferi can bounce stuff. Yep. Get the turn, draw Brainstorm. I mean, this is fine, right? So we can burn the Petal to cast the Strix and like get to a point where our hand is Brainstorm and Force of Will. So what happens if we do? Yeah, I don't think the Petal is going to be worth that much. No, what? Oh my God! Oh, I'm all over the place here. I was going to keep the Strix and put back Brainstorm, but yeah, whatever. It's all good. This way, if we get another turn, which we do, we can Strix and I think we try we stay patient and we pass like it one more time here. And we probably burn the Petal if there's a Thoughtseize, which there is. They didn't go for like Thoughtseizing themselves. Okay, how about if we go like this? So we draw the Force, and regardless, we get to fetch and see another card next turn. Okay, that's fair. And we can't block because it has Menace. Let's go for Underground Sea here. And let's see what they are going to be drawing. Animate Dead. You'd have to assume it's not animation spells they're missing. They don't have a creature in the yard, but you never know. Come on, blue card or Shieldred, I guess. Blue card is fine. I mean, we're losing this race, but not by a lot. If we draw Strix now, they go to 6, we go to 4, they go to 5, we go to 1, they go to 3, we're dead, so that's not going to work. But let's see here. I mean, sometimes you can't draw this stuff up. Feels good to put in a third Teferi, I'm not gonna lie. So they can pitch cast Grief if they want to, but they can't take us off Force, which is good. Dark Ritual Grief. That's what I'm hearing here. I do believe. Oh, hang on. Yeah, no, I'm gonna force this. If they want to reanimate it, as it looks right now, it'll need to be through a reanimate, which will cost them 4 life. And I'm okay with that trade. So we're drawing duress here. I'm gonna plus to fairy, and then I'm gonna duress them on their draw step. So we don't have force for at least one turn here, but you know, it's just the way it is. All right, let's see what they drew and what they have. Man, Teferi's busted. Okay, so there's a grief, and they must have drawn the enemy dead. So let's take that. Leave them with unmask, which they can use and take our force. We can't really do anything about that, but looks like they're not gonna. Interesting. Maybe they're like waiting until the turn where they actually like are ready to go, which would make sense. So we're not like we're pretty vulnerable here. Though I suppose actually maybe the correct play here is actually to play out Teferi and not plus or plus actually. Because that way we have it covered if they resolve a creature through like like a reanimator or whatever. Yep, that's a good spell. They can't like get if they get Gristlebrand into play, they can't draw a card with it. If they get Archon, then they gain 3, draw 1, and we lose Strix, which is unfortunate, but then we can bounce it. They discard the Gristlebrand and an Archon, so their hand is Archon, Unmask, +2 unknowns. Like Exhume gets us back a Strix, which is kind of nice. Would just love to draw a land here or a blue card. Land ho. Baleful Strix for the win, maybe, if we're lucky. On Archon. How about no, Scott? Okay, that drew out the concession. Cool beans. So the 2 forces of negation and 1 or 2 plows for like griefs or Shieldreds. I've seen Shieldred come out of Reanimator, and I think we can board out the lands. It's funny, I don't think Reanimator is playing like Chancellor of the Annex anymore, at least not currently, which is kind of crazy to me. I mean, do we really want to board out Strix? I think probably it doesn't block. It doesn't block grief. It doesn't like really block. Well, I mean, it blocks Gristlebrand, but not before they drew 7, and it just gets sacrificed to the thing. Maybe we want 1 instead of the Unearth, but maybe Unearth is fine in terms of like doing a quick Doomsday. Ugh. Nah. Let's try this. Okay. I mean, I don't think we can keep this. This is like has no interaction. They mulligan to 6, but not sure. If they keep 6, I'm really not sure I can keep this. Okay. They keep. I think we have to mulligan. Yep. Okay, let's So like Shieldred can get discarded and then reanimated, which is a little bit iffy. I think we have to lose one of these lands. Maybe this is the play. And then like hope to draw like a Dark Ritual or something to get Shield rid in quick. And that the 1/4 is going to be good enough. Okay. I'm going to force this. This feels weak. Oh, oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Please, don't do anything this turn. Don't unmask me. Don't grieve me. Yay! I mean, this is not a win, but it's like about as good as we could hope for a multi-4. Sorry, multi-5. To be here, but like Archon still kind of blows this open. And I would say even like if they get Gristlebrand into play here, it's kind of it's probably over kind of thing. So Thassa not exactly exciting here. Let's just pass. They are taking 6 a turn now, which is not nothing. And like Faithless Looting is going to be quite painful if they have one more. There's an Evoked Grief. Do we predict here what would be the point? Just to gain 2 life, probably? I don't think so. What was exiled? A Thoughtseize, okay. They took Thassa, interesting. Is that because they're gonna bring it back and have a blocker? Interesting. Oof. That was timely. Alright. Last go around here, they dropped to 6 from the shoulder and are dead on board. Alright, cool. Got the win. Sweet deal. Alright, let's try out round number 4. Alright, on the draw for round number 4 with a little bit of an awkward hand, but I think I'm going to keep. I hope our opponent, that they don't live up to their name. Cheerios. Okay. Volcanic Island Go. That's interesting. So you gotta wonder if, like, how often does Delver just go land Go on turn 1? Alright, let's, that was a good pickup, obviously, but let's bobble ourselves. And let's not draw the Oracle if we can help it. I'm a little bit, just a tiny bit of like my Stifle radar ticked off here. So I'm going to fetch on their turn. So at least if they do Stifle, it's going to cost them their mana for the turn. Okay, no Stifle. Look, yes. Draw another land. That could have been better. Pass. This is like Sneak and Show. Regardless, we're not really. I'm not just gonna commit cards into like all this open counterspell mana. Brainstorm. Okay, it's probably like I don't think Storm plays Flood Distrand, but I was gonna say it feels like a combo deck of some sort, but yeah, I don't know. We're obviously not really equipped right now to beat Show and Tell, but Savannah. Okay, forget everything I just said. What the hey? This is like one of those 4-color control decks. Okay, they're prismatic, ending my my Strix. That's a card we're up. Okay, yeah, this does feel like a Minsc and Boo type of deal here. We'll see. Not sure that. Okay, they shuffle. I'm honestly okay trading a card here, like trading 1 for 1 or 2 for 2, as it were. If they have force. Okay, they didn't. Interesting. So So we have our land drop, so we can cast Strix. So they have green mana, so we have to expect that Endurance is maybe a card. Will we have time for Teferi and all that sort of stuff? What if we like Strix into Teferi and then draw for the turn and get Thoughtseize? Does that seem reasonable? Maybe a Bauble just to draw more cards. How's this look? So we play Underground Sea now. We play Baleful Strix. We draw Thoughtseize. We then untap draw Teferi. We play Teferi. Draw Bauble. Play Bauble. Which draws Strix. I guess then the second Strix can be a discard spell. Yeah, we might just get minsked and booed next turn and lose the game. Which, if that happens, I mean, is there a way we can kind of avoid that? Maybe by having like Thassa kind of near the top, or at least not very far down. Yeah, I don't know. Let's put Duress on the bottom, then Thassa, then like click this. Or I suppose I could put Bauble now. That would kind of change the order of things here, but maybe not by that much. I would be surprised if this is the force of will target, but you never know. Yeah, I think this is fine because this also putting Bauble there kind of plays around Narset a bit. Let's see what they would be drawing here. Tundra. Okay, so they will have Minsk and Boo mana if that was sort of what they were shuffling with their Ponder to find the fourth land drop. We'll just have to hope that it doesn't kill us. Just Windmill Slam the Minsk and Boo here. Not really sure what's going on, to be honest. Quite the pretty collection of dual lands, but what do you have? Endurance. Okay, interesting. So a couple of cards get put back into our deck. Okay, so let's start out with Thoughtseize here. Let's take away the prismatic ending. Let's play Teferi. And I suppose bounce nothing. Draw Thassa and hope things don't get too nasty next turn. They can play Mystic Sanctuary, put back Prismatic Ending, and then EI into Ending and Ending Teferi. That's certainly a line here. Okay, but they forego that. So they cast Brainstorm. Yep. Expressive Iteration, okay. Swords to Plowshares. Okay. So they get to kill Teferi now, and we don't have any devotion to blue, but we are drawing a Thoughtseize, and our deck is going to be two man tall, so to speak. So let's hope they don't have like another endurance would be kind of annoying. They don't shuffle. Okay. And if we had more Thoughtseizes, at least that could kind of come into play here. Okay. So we got there. No need to show them the cavern, though they can probably put two and two together that it's there, but all right, cool. So I want mentors versus control and another cavern here. And then I want Hydroblast. And then the question is, do we want like a single ending? Just ending something here? I don't like Strix very much versus like control decks usually anyways. But then again, I think like Shouldered is probably pretty bad because they have white mana. So maybe actually one Strix, one Shouldered. Because like Shouldered is like susceptible to white removal in Caracas, but they have to have it. Like if she ever resolves and they don't have it, it's so bad for them. Yeah, this is a keep. They keep 7 as well. Okay. So I think we want to cantrip for more lands here while their Pyroblast mana is down. And I kind of suspect they're not playing Wasteland, but they could be. But I think I will choose not to play around it. And of course, no mana. Oh, come on. So bad. So bad. This is like how we could lose this, is if they just keep open Pyroblast forever and sense the weakness. But yeah, we'll see. They shuffled on their Ponder, so we both shuffled on the Ponder. That's fine. Now they don't shuffle. And wow, Wasteland. So there was Wasteland in their. Okay, they can take my other Underground Sea. They don't even. Oh, they don't remove the one in the graveyard. Okay, I guess they forgot. Okay, so what do you discard here? The clearly bad prismatic ending we just drew and reveal that they have like they continue to have perfect knowledge, I suppose. So yeah, that was a pun of me to play into Wasteland, but I don't know. It just continues to amaze me. These 60 card 4-color greed piles can actually afford to do that, and they play. Okay. I suppose I get this down and the like bird is the name. But that's so bad though. We have one Strix and we happen to have it in our hand. They know about what we have in the deck, so I'm actually gonna name human here. Might call me crazy. But like I think planning for the long term is maybe better. Okay, so now they can load up in 3 drops. I'm gonna snap off a Force of Will here on their Narset. Yep. Okay. If they choose to fight, I'm gonna just keep fighting because I don't think we're coming back from Narset. They could very well like have another one or whatever. This is obviously not looking that good as we continue to not draw lands, but yeah. Have another one? Okay, Uro. That's not great for us either, but at least it's not Narset. And they find land so they can cast Uro next turn. Well, that is a land, so let's keep playing for a bit. I was gonna say maybe I brainstorm here, but oh, so they right now they okay, never mind. So I was supposed to brainstorm. I was gonna say maybe I don't brainstorm because they'll need to cast a row first. Okay, so they tap out a red mana, anyways. So is this when I do it, or do it get greedy and wait until my turn and hope they don't like drop another red land? I think I do that. They dropped another red land. Or did they? Are they running 3 bulks? Because this doesn't fetch Taiga and it doesn't fetch. I suppose it fetches Plateau. If they're running that. But now I can like return fire if they Pyroblast, which they don't. I mean, is there any way back for me here? Maybe if it doesn't involve Doomsday, but I actually find like actual Monastery Mentor. Does that even do it? They're sitting on like 2 cards in hand that didn't get cast last turn. It could be Force Blue card or it could be like Plow. Probably I do this. Hmm. You know what? I'm not interested. I'm not beating their untapped Uru. That is, I'm too low. It's, yeah, gap is too high. Okay, that was kind of crushing. We never recovered, I think. So let's try not to have Wasteland decide the game again. Okay, this should be fine. So I'm gonna. I don't think I'll duress on turn 1 here. Instead, I will get a little bit of scry action, and yeah, I'll take a brainstorm. Okay. I'm also not going to duress into that open brainstorm, I don't think. Although that might just have changed things. Yeah. Let's get the swamp here. I hope they brainstorm and then they don't have like they only have 1 pitch counter. I suppose I shouldn't have fetched basic swamp if I'm gonna go for the Doomsday here, because I'm gonna have to fetch like Underground Sea. It would have been better to have like 2 Underground Seas than 1 basic swamp, 1 Underground Sea in play. But we'll see. Might be that I can't go for Doomsday. Okay, so Ether Sworn Canonist, that's interesting. That's like a really cool card combined with Endurance. So we can't get them off Pitchcast Endurance no matter what. But I think we just take the iteration, to be honest. No Wastelands here. Let's go for Thassa and Cavern and like Teferi maybe, and Tundra. And in case they have like Wasteland and get loam going with Wasteland, we probably want like Snow-Covered Island here. But this doesn't really beat. This doesn't really beat Endurance very well. How about if we don't have Tundra and Teferi, but instead we have the single Baleful Strix and like a Thoughtseize? Yeah, I kind of like that. So we put the island on the bottom, then Cavern Thassa. Go like this. So we know they had surgical extraction, so that could be a card. There's Tega, another EI. Oh no, never mind. There's Canonist. Yep. Okay, so I am gonna brainstorm here, and then I'm gonna cast. Then I am going to cast Baleful Strix. So let's put back Hydroblast and Cavern. Maybe. That's a little bit awkward. Maybe it's the Thoughtseize, I think. I guess it doesn't matter. We'll be drawing both by next turn. Okay. So there's an unknown card in their hand, and it could well be Endurance. But we get to beat Endurance if they don't, like if we Thoughtseize and then they Endurance a response, like our deck will be 3 cards tall and we'll have Devotion Blue 2. It's interesting. They don't shuffle with the Ponder. There's a Misty Rainforest, so they have 3 cards in their hand that we know about, and then 2 we don't. So this is kind of cool. We get to Thoughtseize here, and we can also Hydroblast something if we need to, but I'm kind of concerned. Like if we go Thoughtseize here, and if they then Red Blast Strix in response, and I Hydroblast, and then they have Endurance, then it's a little bit of a problem. Oh, never mind. I can't cast 2. I can't cast both anyways. Oh, shit. Thought I clicked through. Okay, never mind. We can't cast both of these, so let's just actually Thoughtseize here, and see where it takes us. Okay, so they have the Endurance. So basically, if they have a second Endurance on the top of their deck, and they cast Ponder and did not shuffle, so if they have another Endurance, then we lose. But I don't think I'm supposed to play around. I don't think I'm supposed to play around that. Does it matter if I play out the Cavern? Because they can't get to Red Blast because of the Canonist. I think I just If for some reason there was another turn, and I'm not sure exactly how that could work without me being dead. Oh shoot! I'm such a doofus. It's oh. This is me smacking myself in the face. What a moron. Yeah, I just got a little bit blind here. I thought I had like deafening silence in my head, and that says you can cast a creature creature choice a creature card as many as you want. This is not that is not it. So I just killed myself sadly. Um, boo hoo. All right, GG's opponent. Let's see if we can play a bit better for the next round. All right, last round on the draw. Gonna have to see if I can shake off that misplay. It's funny. So far, Displacer Kitten has come up just about 0 times, so not very useful. And we're up against Reanimator, where it also won't matter. Okay. Yeah, sometimes Legacy Leaks are like this. You play 4 combo decks, and yeah, that's just it. I do feel kind of bad not having like gotten more testing in with the kitten, but yeah, it is what it is. Let's see if they can also bring back Grief here. Okay, looting. And there's Brand. So we likely have this turn here to find force. Okay, and we do, so that's fortunate. Let's see if they also found more discard or if they are like going for this. Yeah, let's force and hope they don't have second reanimate. They don't. Oh, there's Shieldred. Is she gonna be good enough? I think where I'm at right now, I probably have to go for her. I could brainstorm hoping to find Doomsday. I think if I resolve Doomsday right now, it's better than resolving Shieldred because it doesn't really matter then how many cards they draw. Actually, that's not entirely true. No, it is true because we would have like a land drop and the Lotus Petal, so we could make a predict pile. But are we better off like risking finding Doomsday rather than the for sure thing with Shieldred? So like if we find if they find Exhume, for instance, and they get up Gristlebrand, they're at 18 life because they have taken 2 from Shieldred. They draw 7, they take 14 damage. Then they're at 4. And then they can get like an Archon into play, kind of thing. I'd be interested to see what you think here, but I'm gonna go for the Shieldred. I'm gonna get Scrubland here so that I am a little bit closer to like a Teferi, which could maybe end up mattering. Okay. Okay. I like that they're fetching. It makes me think they probably are like going for Faithless Looting, which is gonna deal them 4. But I could be wrong, obviously. Ugh. What's this? Hardcast Grief. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's reasonable. This does mean that they can't draw 7 if it's Gristlebrand. So their best hope here is Archon, but they whiff. Yeah, okay, so we got paid off. The children would draw Force of Will. Wow. Okay, that's also pretty lucky. It's not going to do anything here. I might cycle Unearth end of turn. Animate dead. So it's just for argument's sake, say they get to do this. Then when it becomes their turn again, they drop to 5. They attack with Gristlebrand, get up to 7. Sorry, to 12. Yeah, no, that's let's cycle to see if we find like something we want to pitch more than Brainstorm. Okay, we don't. Okay, that should do it because they're gonna they're gonna drop to 3 now, which means 1 once they draw cards, so their fetch land is off. And even if they were to like reanimate or like exhume Gristlebrand, they would need a full turn cycle and take another 2. So Shieldred got there. All right, all right, all right, all right. Yeah, let's do what we did before. A couple of plows. You could argue to bring in Hydroblast, but the only target it has is like Faithless Looting. So I'm not in love with that. Is this how I boarded before? I can't really remember. Probably. All right. No. Get both plows. You mocked me, Swords to Plowshares. Didn't I just click here? Okay. Ooh. I mean, I'm gonna go for this, right? They kept 7 though, so that's a bit scary. What do we do if they discard us here? Do we force? Because it's almost the same if, like, if we let them. Okay. No, I'm gonna let them do this. I'm gonna be sad that I binned my Source to Plowshares or bottomed it, but so defense is down. They can take a force and just do what they want. If all they do is put Grief into play again and take like the Doomsday, then I'm pretty fine with that. I feel like we have answers here. Okay, but okay, it's like the exact same start as last turn or last game. Archon. Okay, they pass the turn. Come on, blue card. It's not a blue card, but it's not nothing either. Okay. So we take the reanimate. Hope they don't top deck. I'm not gonna play out the pedal here because like if they want to discard that, then that's fine. But they will not. They will always obviously. Ooh. Okay. I was gonna say they obviously will take the Doomsday or the Force. I guess they know we don't have a blue card. Bottom unmask and show and tell. Ooh, and their last. I just get to Doomsday here. Interesting. I mean, I think that's just it, right? I'm gonna take a scrubland just because. Yeah, I mean, just because I have a plow, it would be nice to not make that an impossible thing to cast, but I don't think it'll come up. I think I'm gonna draw a predict here, and then I'm gonna predict away like I don't know. Let's say brainstorm. I'm gonna draw the petal. Oh no, never mind. Never mind. That's not gonna work. I keep forgetting that. I think I even mentioned it earlier in this video. I keep forgetting that predict only draws two and not three. So like unless you have like Thassa in hand, you can't get like both cavern and a petal, or both a land and a petal. So I'm gonna predict away Thassa, get unearth, and like how about this? We get like polluted delta. This empties the library too. So we draw predict, Thassa, draw delta, and unearth. That seems reasonable. Costs us a life with the fetch land, but I think that's fine. Alright, so their hand is on mask. So if they draw like an animation spell, they can get back Archon. Okay. That they didn't get that, but and yeah, like against okay, well, we got there. So against decks like this, you don't really need to play around anything post Doomsday, like most of the time anyways. Sometimes they'll be on a white splash and have silence, which is really scary, but most of the times, no pyroblast, no flusterstorms, nothing like that. All right, 3 and 2. I mean, would have liked to have done a bit better, but it is what it is. Kind of bummed that I don't think I put this into play once. I think I drew it like 2 or 3 times the entire league, but such were the matchups that we just ended up like playing against the shoot first, ask later part of the legacy format, with like 4 out of 5 decks being combo decks, and out of those, like 2 out of the 4 were like black red reanimator, which is like just a blitz fast combo deck. So, anyways, I'm for sure gonna keep pursuing this. I think it has, hopefully it has the potential I think it has, but we'll see. Anyways, yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll be back with some more Legacy. Bye bye.